Hey everyone, welcome back to the fourth video of Data with Darshil. And in this video, we have a guest, Rahul Jain. Rahul actually started his career as a BI developer, worked with a lot of different companies, and now he is a data engineer manager. In this podcast, we discussed on various different things from how he became a data engineer, what are the different technologies that you can learn in order to become a data engineer, how to use LinkedIn properly to get a job and build your network, and many more things. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast and learned something new, and let me know your learnings in the comment section. And without wasting time, let's get started. In this podcast, we're going to be mainly focusing on the data engineering side and some of the concept in the 2022 that you can learn to become a better data engineer. So the first thing is that how to become a data engineer, because this is the one question I ask everyone, because every time I ask this question, I get different answers from everyone, because I had a different journey. I talked to Shashank, Seattle data guy, and some of my friends. They all have different journey. So this is the question I want to start, is that how did you become a data engineer and what was your journey?
Yeah, first of all, thanks Darshil for inviting me. It's really a pleasure. And as you mentioned, it's different for different individuals, right? And for me, it was more organic because since I started my career, I got into data field, working with traditional databases, ETL tools, etc. Though the data volume was very small on premise, right? But on the job, I learned cloud concepts and more of handling big data pieces, right? So that's how it evolved organically, right? Though I had to put a lot of efforts into that, but sometimes when people come from different background, they have to learn basics of data first, right? For them, the learning curve is much more higher, but for me, it was more natural.
I assume that you did not want to become a data engineer initially because you might have found out while working and you ended up being there. So initially, what was your goal? Did you want to go into data, or you just ended up becoming getting into the data field just randomly?
Yeah, it was random because I got after college I got placed into a service-based organization where they just hire you and put you in some random projects. But luckily I got into working with data related projects, and that's how this journey started. So after that I had to put a lot of efforts in terms of upgrading skill sets to deal with more big data elements and cloud elements into it, but it started organically.
So in the service-based company, generally you work projects to projects, and in every project you need different skill sets. So what do you think, what type of projects generally data industry has, based on your experience? Like, what are the different types of projects you used to work
on? When I started this, right, that time the data engineering term was not very in trend, right? It was, we were called like ETL developers or sometimes business intelligence
data
developers.
Administrator, something like
that. Absolutely. So I think that time we started like that, and slowly when this volume of data and variety of data started increasing, right, growing, along with the cloud into play, that time this data engineering term coined, and obviously people had to upgrade, and still some companies are running those projects which are legacy in nature, which are purely dependent on ETL and relational databases, but for modern data platforms, definitely newer skill sets are required.
For example, so generally, you said some of the companies are on-premise and some of the companies are moving to cloud. So one of the project I used to work on is the migration related projects, because every company wants to move from the on-premise to cloud. So they go from the hybrid model. Some of the things they put on cloud, they can, and some of the things that are really difficult to migrate, they keep on-premise and go both the way. So again, what are the different skills, like when you say cloud? So what are the different clouds that are available? So we have AWS, GCP, Azure, and many more. So based on your experience, what do you think people should learn if they want to get?
I think these days a lot of new technologies coming into play every 6 months or 1 year, right? You will see new tools and technology coming. So I would say for budding data engineers or college graduates who want to get into this field, to first focus on the core, right? Strengthen your core. What is core here is basics of SQL, right? And then some relational databases, data warehouse concepts, right? Not going into too much details about specific tools or technology, rather focusing on core and basics of cloud, right? What is object storage or data services available on the cloud, as you mentioned. Choose any cloud. Don't worry about whether Azure is better or AWS is better or GCP is cheaper. Don't get into those many details or those discussions. Just start with any cloud which you feel comfortable with and learn basics of it. Right. Okay. Once you strengthen your core, right, then you can focus on newer age tools or technologies which provides a lot of value-added services, right?
Yeah.
But this is a mistake I have seen sometimes. People make, or mostly the freshers or college graduates, that they are more fascinated about newer tools or technologies or terms, basically, right? I mean, maybe it's very general, a common mistake, because they are not getting proper guidance from the industry, people who are working in industry, right? So that's why I focus, I always suggest them to focus on core first and then learn fewer tools, right? Because every year or so you have to reinvent yourself again and learn a new technology.
Yeah, so I really like the point of focusing on the fundamental part, because in my career I started with the AWS, but once I understood the fundamentals such as like some Lambda function, how object storage works, the VPC, IAM and all the other things, these concepts are common across all the different clouds. So once you understand these things for one cloud, you can actually replicate that particular knowledge onto other clouds. And
absolutely.
Yeah, so coming from that point of view, right, why is it like really difficult for freshers to get into data engineering? Because every time on my YouTube comments I get a lot of questions, I'm not able to get the job, or I'm not able to break into the data engineering because there are so many options available. So what do you think as a fresher they should do? Like you already told that focus on basic SQL and other things, but even if they learn like Python, SQL, they're not able to move forward. So do you suggest doing some kind of projects, getting an internship? Like what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, interesting question, Darshil. Actually, I also get some of the direct messages on LinkedIn, right, from the freshers or college grads. So I would say you have to plan this journey, right? Or it's not only about technology, right? As you mentioned, somebody is very good at SQL, Python, Spark, Cloud. Then again, they are not able to break into data engineering, right? So you have to think this as a holistic planning. So first of all is building your technical skill set, as we already talked about, right? Second thing is getting exposure to industry trends. So what I mean by that is a lot of public information is available these days on Google, right? You can just read about use cases, how Uber is implementing their data platform, how Netflix is handling their data journey, right? Yeah. These things gives the real-time exposure, right? Though not hands-on, but still you get the problem statement. And this journey starts with the problem statement. People generally start from bottom up. First they build technical skill and then go to problem statement. I would recommend them to do it top down, right? First understand the problem statement, what industry is trying to solve, and then getting into what technology you want to choose for. That's one thing. Technology is second thing. Third thing is, there is a lot of content available these days on YouTube, on Udemy, various online courses, right? But I would say just focus on few content, not get distracted too much. So channels like your channels, right? You're helping these freshers and recent college grads. Just stick to one particular, or maybe one or two YouTube channels. And then if you can afford, I would say plan your learning in a structured way. Do not watch random YouTube videos, right? If you can afford, you can subscribe to various online courses. Like these days, various platforms are available for it. So you just pay the amount and learn that will be more effective. But if you cannot afford, those courses are really expensive in nature. If you cannot afford, just there are some self-paced course available, right, on website like Udemy and other places. Just go through it, get into the job, and then plan your data engineering journey.
Yeah, that makes sense, because even when I started with the data engineering, I actually didn't want to become a data engineer. I wanted to get into data science. So I started learning all the data science things, machine learning and all the other things. But I got an internship, and that internship basically led me to data engineering. So this is the one thing I've learned, is that everyone has different path. I mean, you can create a roadmap. I created the roadmap video, and I already talked about that. There is no way you can follow this roadmap from start to end.
you will have to find your own path in between. So you will learn the basic skills, but once you get the job or an internship, that will determine your further steps. So if you work on Azure, then you will go deeper into Azure while working in that company. So that determines,
I
yeah.
Absolutely. I just want to, enhance your point you made about, you know, just first try to identify the difference, right? I see people are not, they do not know that what is data engineering, what is data science or machine learning. They tend to mix these things. To just reach out to, LinkedIn, to your seniors, or maybe, people who work in industry, and, just DM them, once, twice, thrice. I mean, don't spam too much, but, they will definitely come back. And a lot of help available there. You can talk to
Yeah.
people in like 5-10 minutes, and then get these things clarified.
Yeah. So yeah, with that point, I guess there's like we can also have the LinkedIn tip is basically when people go on LinkedIn, they generally reach for like jobs or try to get internship, get into DM. But if you want to build a real relationship with people, try to have a conversation. Talk to them like what they do in that company, what are the different problems they are working on. That is the way to understand how industry works and how day to day industry job market is like actually doing into data engineering. So if you go on LinkedIn, don't just go for the job. Try to go and build relationship with the people. You don't have to have like the very close, but at least try to have a conversation that you are just not just asking, you're trying to give and ask in return. So that is the one point I wanted to include over here. So like again, we are like early in the 2022 and people still try to find top technologies in 2022 we should focus on. So there are so many technologies available, like DBT is booming right now. Yeah. In the data warehouse space, I generally work like there is like BigQuery and the Snowflake, and then there are some other previous tools that are still booming that are coming into the market, such as Scala is popular right now. People are focusing more into Scala because they can do a lot of things. So based on your experience and based on your knowledge, what do you think like some of the technologies people should focus in this year?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, some of them, right, like DBT or Scala these days. Apart from that, I would say, just get hands-on with any cloud data platform, right? Like Snowflake is trending these days a lot, right? And for orchestration purposes or for automation, you can, learn Apache Airflow. That's an open source platform. And and then I would say some visualization tool you can learn for data analytics, like Tableau or Looker, right? And because core remains same, again the basics remain same. If you just learn one tool how it works, and then you can just learn another tool in very short span of time. And then one more thing I am seeing trending these days in data space is concept of data ops, right? Yeah. So basically self-healing data pipelines, right, and how you design them, and some cloud ETL providers these days coming into picture, where it's very easy to use those tools and get your data integrated or ingested in your data warehouse. Similarly, some basics also always remain same, like for data lake you can just go through S3, Amazon S3 or AWS blob storage. These things you should be knowing. And other than that, one important point is real-time streaming, right? So any message broker like Kafka or Kinesis, how they work, right? So I think that should be good enough to start with.
Yeah. So you used the word self-healing pipeline. So can you like a little bit describe that, because most of us are like the beginners, so they don't know the when you create a data pipeline, most of us think that okay, there is a source, there is a target, you create a pipeline and it's gone. But there are a lot of different things that goes into that, and you already talked about the self-healing. So can you describe that part a little bit so that people can understand?
Yeah. So so there is a context of traditional ETL pipelines or ETL jobs, where, as you mentioned, you pick up the data from source, you transform it and load into the target, right? And if something fails and these pipelines used to run in batch mode, right, on daily or weekly basis. But if something fails in between, you get some kind of alert, and a developer or support person, logins to ETL pipeline and check what's the issue, fix it, and then run it again. That's the traditional way of doing it. But nowadays, you want this to be very faster, right? And you should not be waiting for somebody to log into server and fix it and then run it again. So for that matter, there are a lot of advanced feature you can build using some of the machine learning model inside your code, where you can define the common errors which you might be getting based on your previous learnings, right? And then if those error occurs, right, what need to be changed. So the automating that part is called self-healing, I meant.
So basically we have a pipeline, and sometimes we have to manually fix errors in case the pipeline breaks or something. So again, the data engineering is moving towards the automating that part. So in case something breaks, it should be able to come back online and fix that part by itself. So you can like define rules or build a machine learning model on top of it. So I really like that point, because most of the people ignore this part. They just focus on just building pipeline and that's done. But once you build a pipeline, that is really important. You maintain it properly so that you can get most use out of it. So now I want to mainly focus on this, the why, because you talked about a lot of different technologies like the enterprise ETL tools and the Snowflake. So I work with a lot of with the Redshift, BigQuery. I generally work in those two data warehouse, but I never understood why industry focuses on the Snowflake so much, because started getting boom even in my job days, or even some of the clients, they used to ask me like why Snowflake is booming, and I did have like a lot of answers. But as you works with the Snowflake a lot of, I want to understand your point of view, like why Snowflake is winning and why other data warehouses are still trying to catch there.
Yeah, that's very interesting part, right? So I was also working as a on Redshift data warehouse, but 2 years back, we moved from Redshift to Snowflake, and the journey was very interesting because so we have to understand the context, right? The product Snowflake has been built by two Oracle veterans. They were working for Oracle for more than 15 years, right? And they saw some of the shortcomings in Oracle databases, right? And the cloud was also booming at that point of time, somewhere around 2013 or 14 when they started writing this or architecting this product. Now, why Snowflake, right? And so I would say Snowflake is kind of a one-stop solution for your whole data platform or data engineering needs. So it provides storage, obviously, and it provides you compute power, standard SQL engine. Apart from that, they are building a lot of capabilities in terms of analytics side. So if you want to visualize your data, which is inside Snowflake, you can do that sitting on Snowflake. Otherwise, you have to use a third-party visualization tool like Tableau or Looker. You connect with Redshift or BigQueries, but that's there in Snowflake inbuilt out of the box. Another unique feature in Snowflake is data sharing and data marketplace. So when you want to share your data with other Snowflake accounts, right, you can just run one Snowflake command and data will be visible to other Snowflake account. And one revolutionary concept which I'm very much fascinated about is data marketplace. So the way this product e-commerce marketplace works, right, like Amazon.com or Flipkart in India, is some seller lists their products and buyer goes there on that website and buy the products, right? Similarly, Snowflake has built a data marketplace where different data providers, right, who generates the data or maintain the data, they can list their data set on the Snowflake data marketplace. And as a consumer, as a Snowflake customer or consumer, you can just subscribe to that data and that data will be available in couple of minutes to you. That's it. Otherwise, you have to build whole data pipeline, maintain it, etc. So those all overhead has been taken care by the Snowflake. So basically, they are trying to build a lot of value-added services on top of cloud. That's why it is getting a lot of traction these days.
Yeah.
And one unique feature I would like to mention, just to finish this, is their ability to isolate compute and storage, right? So you can scale your compute in isolation with the storage, right? So various consumers can connect to different compute cluster and access the data. So there is no issue of concurrency or simultaneously accessing the data. So that way it's very elastic and flexible.
Yeah. So that was the point I was going to say, that in a Redshift, you have to create a cluster and also keep it running for 24 hours, manage it, do all those things. But I guess now people are understanding what a data engineer needs and what are their requirements or industry needs. So they're building everything based on the problems and providing solutions. So like building a data marketplace and making sure the visualization is attached to the data warehouse, so you don't have to build a third party connector and then use data, and like there are a lot of delays that happens if the data is large. So again, I feel like lot of opportunities is available in this space also, because market wants people who knows this thing so they can execute it. And while a lot of companies are moving from on-premise or some of the traditional tools now adapting to the new technologies, so whenever new technologies gets popular, there are a lot of opportunities available in that market. So you can easily learn those things and start quickly get a job or an internship in that company. So make sure like when you get into, if you want to get into data engineering, make sure that you focus on the fundamentals and focus on one to two tools that are like booming in the market. Learn those things, and once you tap into that, you can easily get into data engineering. So I really like the point of the Snowflake, and also like other tools such as DBT, Airflow. You can learn that and learn, add it in your skill set, so that will help you to stand out from the crowd and get a job or an internship in the future. Now, like we already talked about a lot of various things, so I want to come back to the lower level, because we went much deeper into some of the technologies. So let's say I'm a college fresher, or I'm not able to get a job, and you also work as a manager position. So from a company point of view, I want to understand what they expect from a fresher or someone who just come for the interview, and you ask them a lot of questions. Generally people fear like what are the different technologies I should prepare for the interview, and they get confused. So what is your advice that they should focus on while preparing for the interview or just going for the job?
Absolutely, very, very good question, Darshil. Actually, there is a lot of guidance required, I think, for freshers, right? So see, when you're a fresher or recent college graduate, right, then no hiring manager or company expect hands-on from you, right? Obviously, some of the projects, if you did in your college time or during study, those really helps, right? But if not, then I would say just focus on the clarity of thoughts, right? So what I do when I screen any freshers or recent graduate candidates, right, then focus on the fundamentals there, as I mentioned, SQL skills, and sometimes I try to find out why they're interested in data engineering field, right? It could be any reason, right? And if they know the clear difference, between data engineering, data science, right, these are the very fundamental topics which you should be clear on, right? So and along with that, some of the basics of coding, it should not mandatory be Python or Spark. If you know Java, any coding language, right, that should be good enough. Rest of the things, those industry or companies can teach you, right, and you can learn on the job. That's not a problem. Yeah. But I would say to any freshers or college graduate, do not be fascinated about multiple tools and technology, because some of the resume I see, it's like one page and all the technologies which I know and sometimes I don't know mentioned in that resume. But don't focus on that. Focus on the basics, core, and just get the clarity of these concepts. For example, data warehouse versus data lake, right? Sometimes people use these term interchange, but there is a core difference between them. So get these basics, clear, and that shows the confidence during the interview.
So the resume part, I completely agree, because even when I was in college, I added everything from HTML, Java, C++ to machine learning. So you think that the more skills you add, the more chances that you will get the job, but that is not how things work in reality. Generally, a company is looking for people with a specific skill set, and they have a set of problems they want to solve. So if they are focusing on, let's say, Airflow or Snowflake, then if you have that skill, then there are more chances that you will get the job, because they want people with those skill set. But if you think that you will add everything and make your resume like an essay, then there are like really difficult chances to get a job, or just to get the attention of the recruiter over there. So so we talked again a lot of things. Now again, we are coming to the end of the podcast, so just final tips for the people who are watching this, because again, people are fresher college graduates, so should not be technical, but just general life advice if you want to give someone that again looking for like build their future into just data industry, like whether it's data science, machine learning, data engineering, or whatever, because everyone wants to get into data, but sometimes they get confused. So what are your like advice for them?
Yeah, definitely. So, as I mentioned, right, strengthen the core is the first thing. That's more of a technical advice. Apart from that, I would say, don't get distracted too much, with lot of content available in the on internet. So you have to just focus on few. Just decide, what all things you will watch in terms of YouTube channels, or maybe some courses you will subscribe. Don't subscribe to all the courses if you're getting discounts or free, right? You will get distracted. So be focused on your learning. Second thing I would say, structure your learning, right? Don't watch random videos here and there, right? Just decide a learning path and just follow that path, right? And as I mentioned, if you can afford, a lot of courses like 6 months to 1 year courses are available in the market. You can subscribe to that. And I would say, apart from technical things, just explore the industry trends, right? How different industries are solving. And you can find these information over LinkedIn, over Google. Just search use cases, right? And one last thing, and very important, just do not hesitate, ask for help. Just shout out loud and just ask for help. So for example, I'll tell you, these days I have approximately 20,000 subscribers or followers on LinkedIn, right? And I get a lot of DMs on daily basis. I do not get chance to respond to all of the messages, but when somebody articulated their message or text very well, or 2 or 3 times following up with me, then I realize, okay, this is a genuine ask, and then I make sure I respond to them. Sometimes we share the contact number, I call them. So just ask for help, shout out loud, do not hesitate on these aspects.
So yeah, agree with the final point. Ask, don't be shy, because someone will help you if you keep hustling and keep finding the answer. So you will get the answer at the end. So yeah, thank you for Rahul joining over here. Thank you for sharing your experience. It was very great. And yeah.
Thanks, Darshil. Thanks for inviting, and it was really pleasure to be here. Right?
Yeah.
And really enjoyed this discussion. Yep.
Thank you.